How's it, everybody? Spike here from Wavescape with your surf report from Tuesday the 30th of June, pretty much till just after the coming weekend. There's a number of things that I'd like to look at. One of them is why the current 20-second swell failed to materialize quite as we had hoped. I went up to the top of the cliffs today and looked down on the ocean in Cape Town in the deep south. I saw lines, I saw 6 to 8 foot waves, but nothing like the 15-foot waves that one might have thought we would get. And one possible reason for that, if I may, is this. So looking at the storm last week, Saturday, okay, it reached 81 knots, which is well within the range of a 20-second swell. The mathematics behind that, I can maybe explain to you one day. And yeah, you'll notice I'm wearing a beanie because it's quite cold. So let's have a look at this nugget of wind fetch around the storm. 954 millibars, super strong, nice squashed gradient between the isobars. In other words, very focused wind. But of course, the wind is actually heading to the east, okay? So this sausage of wind, which is pretty big, Cape Town to like Durban length, so plenty enough distance in that fetch. And as you can see, the width of it is also pretty solid. It's like a fat porky. So the way that swell propagates is in an arc, a radial arc that goes like something like that, and as it expands as it moves through the ocean. So we are literally on the very edge of that bandwidth. We're on the very edge of the cusp of that range of swell propagating through the ocean. That's why it's a little bit disappointing, I believe. Anyway, let's go back to what's going on right now, Tuesday the 30th. 10 o'clock in the morning, gusting to 67, 70 knots and around the northern quadrant of this little conglomeration of low pressure systems. It's a huge fetch. I mean, that's pretty big. So let's go distance planning and we go like, okay, that's where the swell is coming off the conveyor belt, so to speak. And then let's just sort of try and emulate the curvature of the Earth. That's the length of the fetch, 2,256 nautical miles. Quite long, eh? And there's the storm that's moving away from us, that's brought us the current situation, and there's one dipping below us. I must also point out the high pressure system is going to play quite an active role here. Storms are now dipping a little bit further to the south. Anyway, needless to say, this huge conglomeration of storms is producing lots of swell. All right, so currently 25 foot at 11 seconds, but that's according to the European O's. If we go to the American O's, we've got 28 feet at 13 seconds. As I've mentioned, swell is better done by the Americans. I mean, if you're invading a country, you really need to have an accurate reflection of what the surf is going to be like at Normandy or in Vietnam or Saudi Arabia or wherever. So Wednesday, we've got like nice glassy light southeast conditions in the northeast up the east coast. Plenty waves ahead and plenty of excellent conditions ahead. Let's just go back to the Europeans because I like them for the wind. Go back to wind gusts because that just is much more spectacular, and also because it really just shows you the core part of the storm where the wind is at its most fierce. So there, it's already been banging on from Tuesday through to Wednesday. It's still out there churning away. Then you can see that high pressure system to the north is now moving a little south. You check that, it's moved south, so it's pushing those two systems away, but not without us copping a nice peripheral edging of the storm's fetch. So we, plenty of swell ahead. I mean, let's just, if you want to, let a quick look at the waves. So Thursday, it's 21 feet at 11 seconds. Sorry, back to wave watch. 20 feet at 13 seconds, and then into Friday along the coast, 15 foot at 13 seconds, all the way along. So plenty swell. Thursday, also 11 feet at 15 seconds. 14 feet at 13 seconds. Okay. Anyway, having said that, I want to now look at this storm, because this is the storm that is behind the immense swell that we are due to get on Sunday. So everyone's been talking about the swell. At one point it showed 22 seconds, and that was dinkum, just simply because of how fierce the wind was due to get in the storm. Because obviously period is a function of wind. Period is energy imparted into the ocean by velocity. And obviously fetch, the length of the wind blowing on it, is also a key factor. And then you also have containment fetch or dynamic fetch. That's actually when the storm's moving at the same speed as the fetch within it, which compounds the interaction on the ocean and makes the swell exponentially more massive. But again, let's do a swell course soon and I'll explain all of that to you. So currently it has downgraded a little. Let's go to the Europeans because they love to upgrade. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so come Friday, the storm is now smashing through at 952 millibars with peak winds at 65, 62 knots. But check here if we go and look, there's 71 knots. And at one stage was showing like 82 knots. And that was what was suggesting the 21-second swell that's due to arrive on Sunday. But now that is more like a 20-second swell or even a 19-second swell. So let's look at the waves. Wave watch. We have 35-foot seas at 15 seconds. Come Saturday, it's now really 939 millibars and it's smashing. But as you can see, the bloody high has now pushed the storm down. And even though it's going gangbusters, 76 to 80 knot wind gusts, it's all spraying out to the east. It's all heading east. But still, we are still within the bandwidth of the swell. So let's go and look at Sunday. And let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, there goes that morass of storm sea to the south of us. Now let's just check what's going on with the swell period. So there you have it. There's the swell. It's arrived. Let's just try to get right to the beginning of that arrival. Okay, so southwest 16 feet at 15 seconds, Saturday at midnight, and then by 2 in the morning, the 18-second period has arrived. So what the charts have done, have downgraded the wind speed around the storm, which has downgraded the impact of the velocity of the wind on the ocean, which has decreased the period of the swell, which has decreased the power and energy of that swell. And also you see the size is less. At one point it was showing 24 feet at 20 seconds, which suggests ginormous waves of like 40 foot. I mean, you know, that exponential difference between 5 seconds of period from 15 to 20 seconds is an enormous amount of extra energy. So here we have it at 19 feet at 18 seconds on Sunday. And then that lasts nicely all the way through into the weekend and well into next week. The smallest swell is 11 feet at 13 seconds next Tuesday. And then boom, we're getting another one. 31 foot, another big beast of a storm. If you want to look at the wind behind that guy. more action. Plenty more action where that came from. In fact, I looked at the Europeans and we look at the wind gusts. We're going boom, wow, my golly. Yeah, that's still a ways out. We'll see what happens then. Yeah, what I wanted to do is just to zoom in coastline now. There's so much swell that the only thing you really need to be worried about is where can you surf and what winds do you need for the place where you want to go and surf. Light winds up the west coast Saturday. There is a blooming northeaster that's causing some disturbances, but a buster comes through on Saturday and by Sunday it's gone offshore and it's cranking all over the coast. And then another buster comes through on Sunday, quite strong in places. The high has now moved right over the southern Cape, which of course means easterly breezes up the west coast and glassy conditions between the areas of wind. That westerly moving up the coast all the way up Durban side. And then on Monday, the northeast, quite a strong northeast. Lots of wind and then another huge buster. Anyway, look, I don't want to go on and on forever. So I just thought that you might find that interesting about the periods in the swell radius and the bandwidth. But yeah, about it for now. So shot. Thanks for watching.